Hey, welcome on in. We are still here Tuesday. It's Radio Row at home here on ClaimsOnline.com. I'm Joe Roderick, and we are presented by Kevin Miller of Caldwell Banker Gundaker all week long. And we are joined now by a former Super Bowl MVP. He is Ottis O.J. Anderson, the former St. Louis Cardinal, former member of Big Red. What's going on, O.J.? How are you?
I'm doing well. How about that? Big Red. I haven't heard that call in a long time.
When you look back at it now, St. Louis has lost two franchises. What was your experience like playing football in St. Louis?
Oh, I loved it. I think the Midwest they do football right, man. They know how to tailgate. The support was tremendous. Even though there was support was a lot more for baseball, because baseball was the number one show in town. They deserve to be because they were winners. They've won quite a few championships and totally get it. And we were just trying to find our identity. And as long as we carried the Cardinal Redbird, we was always associated with the baseball team for so many years. But you can't go wrong playing Midwest football. It's such a great thing.
So even back in the early 80s, it still was Cardinals dominated everything.
Oh, absolutely.
The baseball Cardinals, I should say. Yeah.
The baseball team, you knew where you stood. You knew that baseball was number one, and the fans. It's like being adopted. You have your the parents' favorite, not the favorite, but they say you're the younger brother. Put it that way. You're the younger brother, older brother. You carry all the rules. You make all the rules. You hand everything down to the younger brother. You close everything, give it down to him, and that's kind of how we were with the Big Red baseball team. We took over second media market for those guys while they took over the first.
So when that kind of carried with you your entire career then, because then you went on to New York, and Giants weren't number one in town then. It was the Yankees there in New York, right? Or with a bigger market, did you get a little more attention?
Well, fortunately, the Giants started their career off in New York, so they had such a great fan following from there. And when they transitioned to New Jersey, that fan followed them all the way through. So it wasn't that big of a transition for them. But you had the Yankees who had their own identity, and they were in New York playing where we were in New Jersey playing, but yet we still had that tag New York. So we did okay. You had the Mets there too, but we did okay. We held our ground, and when we won our championship, we really put a dent on a lot of things. Now we got that front page like the Yankees been having all season long, and also you got the Knicks. So the Knicks had done their part too. So you had a lot to share. Where in St. Louis, you don't have all of that to share. You got baseball and hockey, and that's about it. And then you look at up here, you got hockey, baseball, you got basketball, and then you got the two New York teams playing in the same stadium. So it was a lot different.
So when you were in St. Louis, how much hockey did you follow when you were in St. Louis?
Not a lot, because I didn't understand hockey. Was never introduced in my neighborhood when I was growing up. So I just found guys on skates, on playing on ice was pretty different and unique. But I just didn't follow it. I just couldn't understand it. They kept talking about offside, and I'm trying to see how you offside. What put you offside? And they talking about if the puck crossed the line before you, the player, I'm like, oh man, that's too much information.
He should have hung out with Claibs more, and he could have gotten you all in on the hockey stuff then.
Well, I tell you what, Joe, I do love one thing about hockey, man, is that when you get into a fight, you fought until you hit the ground. So that was exciting.
You look back when you played, and you see how rough and how, the clotheslines and the way the guys got thrown around. You look at that so many years later, 30, 40 years later. How do you view the game these days?
It's tremendous. It's changed. It's tremendously. I think the way they protect the quarterback is like unheard of. You think Jim Hart and those guys playing back then, look at Bradshaw, look at Johnny Unitas, Bach Starr. You tried to put those guys out of the game the best way you could, and falling on them was part of it. You can lay every bit of pounds you had on your body on those players. And now with the rules the way it is now, you fall on the quarterback wrong, you can get a 15-yard penalty, or you hit him wrong, you can be expelled from the game. But yet you do understand why they doing it and why they did it, and that's why you got guys like Brady, who's 43 years old, still playing the game. You had Frank Gore, who played for 17 seasons as a running back. They don't hit no more. You got maybe 6 padded practice the whole year, including training camp. So yeah, you probably can stay around a long time, and but that's what we're living with.
I mean, Frank Gore is just a couple years away from getting to play with his own son in the NFL. That's unheard of.
Well, you know what? Look at this. LeBron James is trying to hang around and play with his son. So what that tells you?
As you, with all these rules in place, as an offensive player, what kind of numbers would you have had if there were rules in place like this back when you played?
Well, you know what? Just taking away training camp, the way we did training camp. I mean, we went six weeks of training camp, and we only had one or two cushion days to get ready for every day of having your uniform and going 2 and sometimes 3 a day practicing. And just imagine, live contact was done quite often when you were during my era. So just take away all of that punishment from your body, and then playing on Sunday, because the game on Sunday is the easiest thing to play. It's just getting through the week is what was hard, and especially getting through training camp back in the day. That's how you made the team. How many people you can knock out, or how many people you can injure, and those were your chances of making the team.
It's back in Super Bowl 21, Super Bowl 25, when you were a champion, when you won those 2 Super Bowls. The media coverage that you saw in previous years, it wasn't that crazy week leading up to it. We're kind of getting back to that this year, aren't we? I mean, with COVID and the players, the Chiefs aren't traveling till Friday. It seems like it's we're back 30 years ago now, with how Super Bowl week's being covered and how the players are just kind of getting to do their own thing and aren't. What were those weeks like for you in Super Bowl 21, 25? What was that media coverage like leading up to the game?
Well, we didn't have social media, so we're not trying to see how many Twitter account people we can get to follow us and how many stuff we can tweet out there on Twitter. That
you weren't doing TikToks during practice?
Yeah, no, you weren't doing that kind of crap, But it is tremendously different. And somebody asked me earlier, do you think that you guys would have been able to go by the rules of what they have in place now, going into Super Bowl and also playing the whole season? And I said it would have been easier for us because we were about team. We weren't about the individual accomplishment or those individual honors that you can get when you were the best of the best, because you earned the right and the respect of others. You wasn't just given that because of your name, and you had to put that work of body in to be honored by your players. So the Pro Bowl and stuff like that meant a lot to us because we know that it was genuinely given because of the work ethic that we had. These players today, it's so different because of COVID-19 and the way they have to worry about social distancing and worry about who they're around, because you can infect your team with COVID-19 and having that COVID tracing that they do and make yourself ineligible and some key players on your team ineligible. And this is the biggest game of your life. Of all time to be disciplined, this would be the time to do it. But you still want to enjoy the hoopla what the Super Bowl bring, because you never know when you're going to be there again. And that's what they're missing. Like the week before, like last week, being out in the neighborhood, being out to your famous restaurant, getting the accolades, getting patted on the back for such a great season, and representing your city for the Super Bowl. You're missing all of that because of this COVID-19. And then the tailgating, the tailgating that goes on when you come to the stadium and getting there early as a football team instead of arriving on Saturday, which is basically how they're doing it now, but getting there early enough to go through the city and see all the banners put up and finding out who's rooting for you and who's not rooting for you. They're missing out on that. So they try to do it by Zoom, virtual, but it's hard. I know if I'm a first year guy, I want to be able to talk about the Super Bowl the way it was once played. This new way of doing it makes it a lot different, and I still say it's very appreciative, but I don't think it carries the weight it does when you had it the old way.
Had somebody text me saying they wanted me to bring up a game of yours from your days at the Big Red, a game against the Redskins in DC. I was told it was the greatest second half of a football game that they had ever seen. What memories come to mind? Do you know what game this guy's talking about?
Interesting.
I was told missed field goal at the end of the game. OJ, Roy
Yeah,
Green, Neil Lomax could not be stopped.
Yeah, that was the game that if we would have won that game, we would have won the division. And that was a game that you did. Lomax had a good game. I had a good game. And I still say today, if Lomax would have been looking to his right, which normally he does, he normally catch me coming out of the backfield. But he tried to throw that ball to Pittman across the middle, which he completed, but didn't give us enough time. But had he looked to his right, where he normally would find me, he could have dumped it off, and I could have maybe took it in. If I didn't take it in, I would have took it down to a field goal range that'd have been easy for us to have made that field goal. So yeah, he's right. That was a good day on all our parts.
Hey, you are speaking today on behalf of Nova Nordisk. What can you tell me about that?
Well, I'm a patient ambassador for Nova Nordisk, and for the past year, it's been tough on all of us dealing with type 2 diabetes and people who are diabetics. And one thing I try to just keep in mind that diabetes and obesity put you at high risk of developing severe illness from COVID-19. So you need to be very cautious as to keep your hand from your face and always washing your hand and practicing social distancing, because that's still so important. Same thing that the COVID-19 has been put out there for people to follow the guideline. And obesity being a problem, because with COVID-19, you got that COVID-30 and that COVID-20 where you inside and you can't exercise and you constantly gaining this excess weight. And that's part of diabetes, gaining, weight gain and ashy skin and weak eyes. So if you're not watching your weight, you can put yourself in some serious health condition. And that's why Nova Nordisk partied up with the NFL Alumni Association with the program called Huddle Up, Let's Talk Obesity. And you can get more information on huddleupobesity.com. And we just trying to do our part. NFL alumni try to do their part. Nova Nordisk, because of their education and knowledge of diabetes and obesity. And we just trying to make it more aware of individuals who not exercising like they used to because of COVID-19, and also try to make sure you stay relevant with your doctors. It's important to have conversations with your doctors, and if you can do that, then you have a good chance of having a balance in your life, because you got to have balance in exercise and balance in eating, and that's all part of what Nova Nordisk is trying to get out the message, and that's what I try to get out the message on their behalf.
OJ, who you got in the game on Sunday?
Well, Joe, I'm going to tell you what I've been telling everybody else. And I'm going to give you my rundown. So you got Tom Brady, who brought New England system into Tampa Bay. He's lined up the player, the same personnel he had in New England, if you look at the positions, okay? The tight end stayed the same. You got Gronk stayed the same. Wide receiver, you had Randy Moss, you got Mike Evans, okay? You got the intermediate route, you had Amendola, you had him doing it. And you got Mike Miller running those kind of in-between routes. So, and then you got running back here, Corey Dillon back in the day. You got Fournette. So he has recreated the New England system that was very successful for 6 Super Bowls win, and he had put it together with Tampa Bay personnel. Then you look at Patrick Mahomes. Pat Mahomes, since he got into the league, he has been doing his thing. He has really escalated the game, especially at quarterback position. And if you look the way he plays quarterback, if you take all his weapons, Tyreek away, you take Kelce away, you take Bell and Edwards away from his running game, Mahomes can still beat you with his legs and his unorthodox throwing motion. So with that much knowledge and that much education, and you can't go against the GOAT, but yeah, he's the young GOAT. And so, and they beat him already. So my prediction is, if you want to win, and people are betting, and they're trying to see what a lot of guys like myself and others are saying, put all your money on the team with the most points. Great, right, Joe?
You had me so in. You had me in there waiting for that answer, and then you give me that.
That's no way I can put it, Joe, because you know, and I know. Can you really call it? Seriously, can you really call it?
No, you go back and you really can go back and forth both sides and make an argument for both teams.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And you know what? I don't know a year that we've been able to do it that way. It's going to be a fun game that hopefully everybody safe at home watching it this year. OJ, I really appreciate the time, man. Best of luck with everything.
Hey, man, thank you, Joe, and thank you for the plug with Novi Nordis and NFL alumni working together as a team to bring awareness to obesity and diabetes. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.